Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Cardboard Herald's Off the Table, your Monday morning tabletop gaming news, community, and questions in 10 minutes or less. Today's episode is brought to you by Board Game Atlas, your map to the world of board gaming. You can find them at boardgameatlas.com. As always, I'm your host Jack, and we got so much to cover today, so let's get started. Our first news item is that there's a new tabletop gaming book coming, Building Blocks of Tabletop Design, the Encyclopedia of Mechanisms by designers Isaac Shalev and Jeff Engelstein. Now, this is a book that claims to have 100 different mechanisms and 100 different diagrams to go with them and all sorts of information. It is a resource for game designers, and if you're not plugged into the game designer scene, there's all kinds of burgeoning people who are just wanting to develop their craft. I mean, having Jenga on the cover wasn't really my go-to for like cool, hot new game design tricks, but then again, these guys are proven designers. Jeff was the host of the Ludology podcast for like 8 years, and so I think this is going to be a great resource. Next up, Newell Brands is selling US playing card company to Cartamundi. Now, I just did some reporting on these guys recently. They're the makers of bicycle playing cards, and it's interesting because Cartamundi is a brand from Belgium, or a company from Belgium, and I'm wondering if they're going to keep the US playing cards brand alive. But either way, it's always interesting to see these various consolidations and mergers. Next up, we have Magic teaming with Netflix to bring you an animated series being executive produced by the Russo brothers. I mean, these guys are the hottest things in Hollywood right now. They were the masterminds behind the Avengers Infinity War and Endgame mega movies, so I was a little surprised to see them doing this, but apparently they are big fans of Magic. We also have some talent coming in from the Star Wars Clone Wars animated series, so I'm really looking forward to this. Magic has a rich history, and there's a great wealth of lore to pull from here, and from the image that we've seen so far, we have Chandra, the flame planeswalker, or I guess mountain planeswalker, so expect all your favorite planeswalkers to be in this. What is there? There's like Jace and Chandra and Lilith and Karn and Chubtoad. Oh yeah, and speaking of Magic, the next news item is that Magic is introducing a new card stock to its supply. They've already introduced this in Japan and some other overseas markets, but in the upcoming sets, we're going to have a new, firmer card stock, which, according to them, is going to make manufacturing, particularly card cutting, rigidity, and snap, all that much better. I'm not sure exactly what snap is. Maybe that has to do with shuffling. If any of you are avid Magic players out there, I could use some help. Let me know. Is this something that's going to cause a problem in the tournament scene? Because if it has an effect on the rigidity of cards, I would think there's a way to tell the difference. But on the other hand, a game with the tournament scene as heavily regulated as Magic, I can't expect that they've not done their research on that. So let me know what's up with this. And then Spiel Portugal Game Award nominees have been announced, and this is a cool award show or award series or series of awards. However that is best described. This is a set of awards that has been growing more and more popular over the years because it seems more in tune with the enthusiast, the hobbyist market of gamers. These are more strategic games, and I think there's a good reason to pay attention to what they nominate. So those nominees are Root, Airship City, Underwater Cities, Blackout Hong Kong, and Teotihuacan. I still cannot pronounce that game name, and I know that the people who are helping out film this show over there are probably laughing at me for that. We got a pronunciation?
Teotihuacan.
Teotihuacan. Perfect. And in our announcements corner, our new publisher Wyrmgold is making its premiere with new 2-player Uwe Rosenberg game, Robin von Locksley. This is going to be a race and set collection game. It has beautiful artwork, and I'm always on board for finding something new by Uwe Rosenberg. And then we have Feuerland Spiel has announced Crystal Palace as their next big fat Euro game. It's by a new designer that I haven't heard of before, Karsten Lauber. And it looks like a dice placement game in a world of weird inventions, and it plays 2 to 5 players. And then finally we have Plaid Hat, who has announced Aftermath, a new adventure book game by Jerry Hawthorne. This is the 3rd adventure book game. We had Stuffed Fables, then Comanauts, and then this. And this is actually set in the same universe as Battlelands, or rather, Battlelands is set in the same universe as this game, which hadn't already been announced. It's a little bit complicated. I reported on Battlelands a while ago, and what was so interesting about it to me is that it was another paw and claw fantasy game, you know, rodents and swords and magic and mystery and all that kind of stuff, except it was separate from Mice and Mystics. We got a little bit more of an inclination on what that is now, because with Aftermath, they've released the rulebook, which also has a lot more story information, and this is like a post-apocalyptic world, post-humanity, but still cities and everything everywhere. And so now animals have created their little fiefdoms from the scraps of what we left behind, which sounds really cool. And it looks like they've done some updates to the mechanics for the adventure book games. I know those have been kind of hit or miss for people in the past, and it looks like this one is going to be more of a card-based system. There's a die involved rather than a huge set of dice. So it sounds like they're tightening things up, and the setting is wonderful. The artwork is gorgeous, and anything that lets me be a guinea pig with like a mechanical battle axe, I'm on board for. And for our highlight today, I actually don't have a guest expert because I was focused on this Polygon article that was recently put up regarding the tariffs and trade war that's going on with China and some of the broader implications on the whole tabletop gaming scene and the publication and manufacturing of board games, that I really wanted to spend some time just emphasizing, yo, there's this article that you should go and check out, which could describe this so much better than I could. I mean, I may have a long, drawn-out discussion about this in a much more layman side of things later on in a different show that we have on the channel, but for now, I really wanted to just highlight that Polygon does some excellent work. It's not an avenue that many people would expect to find tabletop gaming discussion on, but it is a fantastic article that is specifically about the board games that you and I play. So go check out that article on Polygon. It's in the description below. And that will take us to our question section. And earlier I talked about 2 different Magic the Gathering things, and I got some Magic art behind me. In case you don't know this, I grew up playing Magic. I was obsessed with it. It was one of my introductions into fantasy as well as tabletop gaming in general. And I kind of grew out of it. I eventually got into Legend of the Five Rings, was huge into the tournament scene, but like a good addict, I would always waver back towards Magic. And I even keep my toes dipped into Magic forums these days just to kind of keep up with things. Enough to be dangerous and talk about card stock without really knowing the implications of something like that. So I thought I would ask, for you out there, have you been obsessed with any sort of game that you still have a residual affection for? Was it Magic or Pokemon or maybe Warhammer? Any sort of game that in itself is kind of a hobby. It could even be chess. But let me know about what it is about that game that kept you in it so long and what residual affection do you have for it today. And that's going to do it for our show today. Thank you so much for watching another episode of the Cardboard Herald's Off the Table. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you to Board Game Atlas for supporting this show. Everyone should go check them out at boardgameatlas.com. And that's it. We got to get out of here. Thanks. I've been Jack for the Cardboard Herald. I'll talk to you next week. If you enjoyed this video, we have all kinds of other reviews, interviews, and recommendations via writing, podcasts, and video here on our channel and website cardboardherald.com. Our content is audience supported, so if you want to show your support, please visit our Patreon. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the Cardboard Herald.